Welcome back to Podcast The Hero. I'm Rody Walker. Fritzy isn't here this evening, or as you can tell, daytime, because he works a normal job, and he's a total asshole. He told me flat out, he said, I did a lot of work while you were gone. I refuse to do any more. It's your turn. Okay, so I'm going to do a podcast all on my own. I'm specifically going to focus on fitness while touring. That's a pretty bland subject, I imagine, to a lot of you. So if you don't care about it, turn it off and go fuck yourself. But don't fuck yourself too hard. Fuck yourself sweetly in a way that only you enjoy. But let me know if you're interested in this kind of topic, because I think I'd like to start something where I speak to other members of touring bands that enjoy fitness as well and try to ask them stuff. Before I get to that, let me say this podcast is brought to you by several things. It's brought to you by Cornbot and Cornman. Okay, that is a lovely fellow named Zach. And a device that he's created that goes into Discords and moderates them. That's the only true fucking announcement of Cornbot we've ever done. I think initially we might have done some actual descriptions of it, but Fritzy's not here, so all the fucking around goes out the window, okay? It's just business. Real business now. Stream of consciousness, business. This podcast is also brought to you by another podcast. Absolutely the best podcast, A Work in Progress, where two lovely gentlemen basically just discuss the Marvel Universe ad nauseum. They're trying to figure out what's the best of everything, but they started with something that has no end in sight. This podcast is also brought to you by our patrons on Patreon. Okay, there is exactly 100 patrons now. I do not know their names. I searched throughout our Patreon for the list of active members, and I could not get it to fucking show it to me, so maybe Fritzy will do a little addendum and add their names in. If he were to do it here, that would be cool. If he is not to do it here, that's fine as well. I care not. But I do thank you for your patronage, and if more people want to sign up, you don't have to pay anything. Less than half the users are paid, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's just patreon.com/podcastthehero, and then you can help contribute to our continued creation of this absolute mess. So, full disclosure, in order to not ask myself questions, I did use AI to generate questions regarding fitness, and specifically fitness on tour, specifically this run. Let me say specifically a few more times, because I'm a fucking loser that can't put my thoughts together without repeating myself. Let me check my phone. That's how I figured it out. Okay, so again, these questions were created by AI. I know, it's not the tightest, but for all intents and purposes, how do you say that? Who cares? This is how I've decided to create it. And hopefully it's okay. So as some of you know, we just finished a tour with Between the Buried and Me 2 days ago. This was the most successful I've ever been fitness-wise on any tour, consistently going to the gym. And it was awesome. I actually came back down 5 pounds for some reason. And I'm not super sure why. But I'm sure we'll get to that through these questions. So the first question is, how did you structure your fitness routine? Well, I have a trainer. Okay, I have a coach who reached out to me through Instagram with Grit Coaching. His name is Jim Dummer. He is from the UK, and he structured me a workout so that it was a routine. It was a 3-day routine because I told him we didn't access gyms very often on tour. So he said, if you can get in there 3 days a week, this is tight, tight, tight. We got in there a lot more than 3 days a week. We got in there 5-6 times a week, which is actually more than I prefer to. I prefer 5 days a week, and currently doing a push-pull leg split, right? So Jim Dummer from With Grit Coaching designed me a program that I did pretty much the whole time, and it was just push-pull legs. And I will say, because we went more often, a 3-day program, just like repeating that, it did require a little variation. For instance, on the first day, there was, on the first pull day, there's a neutral grip pull down, right? On the fucking pull down machine. And doing that twice a week was kind of like boring. Like, things got a little boring, so we had to introduce variations on the second day. So we made our own version of the push-pull legs with, we just added in a B day, which was variation days on all of the major things. So instead of the major lift being a neutral grip pull down, we did a fucking chin up, or a pull up rather, not a chin up. What was the biggest challenge to staying consistent on the road? That's an interesting question. Thank you, AI. The biggest challenge is just you don't know where you're going to be ever, right? Like, you never know what gyms are going to be around. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I check my phone for coffee and then a gym. And you just never know where you're going to go. Some days there isn't a gym, right? Some days you have to Uber to the gym. Some days you get to the gym and they're like, it's a $20 day pass. And it's like, fuck me. Like, that's more money than I'm interested in spending. And I did find the best gyms, the very best gyms on the road were $10 or less. They were either fucking free or they were $10 day pass. Any day pass where I had to pay around $20 or more was a god-awful gym. And I think I think it was like pretty obvious from the moment you paid them $20 fucking that it was like, you're fucked. Okay. Next question. Did I and any of the BT Bam members ever work out together? No, we did not. I didn't really talk to anyone in BT Bam about their exercising patterns. I know that Paul said when he's home, he's fairly consistent. Tommy, the very first thing he said to me was he joked about how he needed to start taking creatine. But I feel like Blake could really lift. I feel like he could do some damage. He probably does. But it just never came up. They're fairly quiet guys. They keep to themselves quite a bit. They are very funny. They're very cool, but fitness never came up. So the people that I worked out with on this tour were HK, our drummer, and Matt Woj, our driver. Both are relatively new lifters. And I think they made pretty significant strides on this tour. I'm not like taking credit for it or anything like that. I just think, myself with like a little bit more experience, I just had like a little knowledge that they didn't. And I watched both of them make huge strides as far as their bench press went on this tour. And it was really cool to watch, and it was inspiring for me. So that's something. Like, how did the venue logistics affect your ability to train, space, time, equipment? I never worked out in the fucking venues, so timing was a little strange. Like, every day we had to be there for sound check at like 3:00, and then we had to load in at 3:00 and then sound check at like 5, and then basically you're on stage and you're going. So the timing is not great, especially because you stay up rather late. And for myself, I was getting up at around noon every day. So I had to get up, I had to eat my fucking oats, take my pre-workout, drink my coffee, and then I had to go to the gym. And more often than not, I would wake up and our driver Woj would be sitting there like having waited for me for a long time, and he would be rather annoyed. And I don't blame him for it, because he drove there and fucking slept and then woke up and I still wasn't awake. And it sucks waiting on people. So yeah, I definitely understand where his shit was coming from. But there's no venue logistics. When I first started working out, I started working out on tour, and we just like Mike Arati, Calvin from the Safety Fire, and I just started doing like stations, like where we would do like jumping jacks and push-ups and stuff like that. And it was fun and interesting, but you outgrow it very quickly. You're working out every day. And I remember Anoop Sastry, at that time playing for intervals, coming to me and saying like, we should get in a gym, man. We'll have so much more fun at a gym. And I remember being like, no, I'm scared of the gym. But he was right. It was an excellent way for me to learn about fitness with my friends, but kind of got me off on the wrong foot. Like, I wasn't lifting anything, and I wasn't learning the basis of the techniques. If I could go back in time and change how I was introduced to it, I would go back and I would learn the lifts, the major lifts first with the proper technique. And that's something that a lot of people that I know who have started lifting recently, like HK, Des from the Safety Fire, and Good Tiger, they've started the right way. They've started learning the best techniques, the best lifts, and perfect form for it. So when they move into more advanced things and advanced programs, they're going to have so much more success than I did. And I'm glad to see that. Next question. What were your go-to workouts when you only had 20 to 30 minutes? If I only had 20 to 30 minutes, I don't work out. That's just the truth. I know that like a lot of people could do some fucking like pretty good stuff in 20 to 30 minutes, probably cardiovascular, but like the bench press lasts 20 to 30 minutes. And like, if I'm just going to do a single workout, logistically, that doesn't make sense to go to a gym that, you're probably going to be paying $20 to go to just to bench press. I would just, if I only had 20 or 30 minutes, I would say today's a rest day. Save it up for tomorrow. Make sure you get good nutrition and good sleep. Next category we're moving on to is nutrition while touring. This is great. My camera hasn't frozen in quite some time. I'll include some of the audio of when my camera froze, because I got a little angry and said a bunch of horrible stuff. At the end, I'll edit together some clips of me cussing into the void. But yeah, so let's talk about nutrition on the road. So nutrition for me is a little fucky. I'll go through these questions and then I'll answer what was fucky about it. Again, Jim Dummer from With Grit Coaching designed a diet for me, but it's just not super realistic to have a specific diet when you're touring, or like down to the like very thing. Like, yeah, fuck, I'll explain, but it's hard to follow a strict diet on tour. And it's particularly hard for me because I'm a fucking inconsistent dickhead. What was your eating strategy on the road? Were you following a specific diet? So I did have a strategy, and my only real strategy after the first week, when I realized that it was going to be a challenge, was to hit my protein goals. Hit my protein goals and take my creatine. It's tricky. Food is weird on tour. Like, you eat mostly kind of fast food, which sucks. The first week we had our fridge breakout. Like, our fridge broke down. It just didn't keep anything cold. So we had a lot of food in there that we'd planned on eating, and we lost all of it. And so that really sucked. But the best thing that I could do was have oats, right? Every day, wake up, chuck some oats in a bowl, chuck some fucking protein powder in it, mix it up with some water, chuck it in you, right? And it's like, that's one meal of the day that's like not fucked, right? Because it's easy to have a whole bunch of fucked up meals. Then typically I would try to have, for lunch, I would try to have Jimmy John's or something like that, or a fucking tuna bowl I had quite a few of those. And then you just gotta fucking like that's basically what I would eat in the day. We would have shit on the rider like nuts and stuff like that, and I try to chuck a bit of that, but I try not to be too crazy with that stuff because it's super fucking fatty. And I don't want to fill my macros with just fat. Unfortunately, after the set, I'm going to fill the rest of my calories with beer. That's how I do. You know, it's unfortunate, but I love having beers. I have old habits die hard, right? And it's like, since I was just a kid, first thing I'd ever do once I got off stage, especially if it was a good one, but especially if it was a bad one, is I crack a beer. And it's like a little celebration that I have. Sometimes I'm good about going, you know what? I can have just one beer. I can have, maybe a shot of whiskey and call it a day. But you know what? My voice was going so well on this tour. I felt really comfortable. I think I was sounding really good every night. And so every night after the set, I was like, a beer, yeah. The sun was still up some nights. I'd have a couple more beer. Then we'd have a bottle of Jameson, which we've always had a bottle of Jameson, love it or hate it. We love it. You chuck a couple fucking swallows of that back, and all of a sudden you're pretty hammered, which is why I don't understand why I returned down 5 pounds. Doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Not a lick of it. But I'm glad. But it just kind of goes to show, like, I don't know, not eating that much, hit your protein. Like, you're going to probably end up in a deficit despite, like, I have somehow ended up in a calorie deficit on this tour, despite the fact that I was drinking quite a bit of beer. It was because I wasn't eating very much food. And to be honest with you, I probably didn't hit my calorie goals or my protein goals every day. But I tried my best through the addition of like shitty little protein bars and fucking protein powder. Okay. How did you handle nutrition when options were limited, late night gas stations and green room snacks? Yeah, I mean, that is what it is. Options are always limited. When we played New Kensington, there was nothing. There was nothing to eat the whole fucking day. There was one Mexican restaurant that was open. I had it in the morning. It made me feel like shit the whole fucking day. Then I had a vegan mac and cheese. And that's what I ate that day. It was brutal. I tried to have 2 scoops of protein. And you just got to try and get as much as you can with what you got. As far as like hitting your macros, you just have to accept that it's probably not going to happen every day, or you got to be smarter about it than I am. Any food hacks you discovered for eating clean or fueling properly? The big thing is you don't snack. You don't really snack at all, right? For the most part, when we drive at night, so we're asleep when you go to gas stations. And if you can go into a gas station and stick to getting a fucking Fairlife and like a Quest bar, do that. Just don't fucking eat like chips and chitlins and all sorts of delicious shit. That's my only fucking food hack is on tour, you don't snack. Did venue catering stand out as surprisingly helpful? Yeah, man. All the venue catering. Shut up. This ain't Europe. What supplements, if any, did you bring? Protein powder. Protein powder is king on the tour. And creatine, right? So what I did for creatine is at Popeyes, they sell these creatine gummies. 3 is 5 grams, which my coach actually recommends taking more than that. But I stuck to about 5 grams a day on tour, just for the sake of preserving the amount of creatine, because those gummies are expensive, which creatine should not be. You can get a huge tub of creatine for not very much money. Don't spend that much fucking money on creatine. It's awesome to take. It's important to take, I think. But it's cheap and it should never have any more ingredients than just creatine monohydrate. If it's got anything else in it, chuck it out the fucking window, and if it's expensive, chuck it out the fucking window. Okay. How'd you balance physical training with preserving energy for stage and performance? That's a fucking good question, man. AI is here to stay, dude. I should have looked at these questions. That's a good question. So HK has to be really considerate of it, right? Because we're going in for a leg day. He can push himself. He has powerful fucking legs, man. His squat is as good, if not better than mine, and he's been doing it for a lot less time. So we have to be really careful, especially with HK, because like I can beat my body up and like go on stage and still do the singing if I have to fucking stand and deliver. I prefer not to because I want to be able to fucking bounce around the stage and have lots of fun. But if I had to, I could. So I push myself really hard in the gym for the most part, but we have to be careful with guys like HK who, if he gets really, really sore in the legs, it's going to affect his performance, right? So we have to be pretty mindful of that. And sometimes we weren't, right? HK and I were doing these 45-degree leg press rest pause sets where you take you go to failure, you rest for 5 seconds, go to failure again, rest for 5 seconds, go to failure again. I got like 36 of them with 315 pounds on. He got fucking 36 before he even stopped for his rest pause. He went all the way to 50. That was in Baltimore. It was a fucking first night. But he did like so amazing. But I think we learned that day that it was like, hey, we got to chill a little bit because it's going to affect how his legs feel over the next few days. Maybe not even like that night, maybe the next day or the next day. I find delayed muscle soreness usually takes 2 days for me to really feel it at its apex. So there's that. That's something to be truly mindful of. It really is, as far as energy on stage goes, it comes down to food. There was a day where the fuck were we? It was the day after St. Louis. It was the day that the Leafs lost Game 7. It was I can't remember. I can see the venue in my head. I went and got a poke bowl. I had my bowl of oats in the morning. I went to get a poke bowl after sound check. And by the time we got back, I didn't have time to eat it. And we got on stage and there was 2 songs left. We went into Bone Marrow and I was moving around pretty good. But then like I just completely lost energy. Got this feeling of like, hey, I'm going to fucking faint, shit my pants and throw up all over myself. And I just like couldn't move. I finished the set and like got off and was like, felt sick and weird. And then I went upstairs and ate and I felt completely better. So really it's about fucking nutrition, right? It's a lot about nutrition. That's all the fucking performance, right? Were there any days where you had to prioritize recovery over workouts? What prompted that? There for sure was. So one of my knees locked up during the set one night, and I had to skip a leg day, which Woj and HK love leg day, so they were like pretty bummed on me, but I definitely had to do that. HK, there was one day we did like heavy squats, and HK's back was really sore, and he had to prioritize recovery. I mean, it happens, right? Like, you know your body better than anyone else. You fucking sometimes you gotta chill. And you know what, like sometimes taking a day off will, help you be more consistent with the gym because, I don't know, you can fucking go in and really hurt yourself and then you're gonna take even more days off. So it's beneficial. How did touring affect sleep and does that impact your fitness goals? Fuck yeah, man. I feel like I didn't really sleep that well for a month. So we take these bandwagon things. They don't have any shocks. The sleeping on them is fucking horrible. It is horrible. You basically have to get so drunk that you pass out. Honestly, that's a big part of the drinking on the road. You have to either get drunk enough to fucking fall asleep while it's moving, or conversely, just sort of like stay a little awake in your bunk all night until you get to where you're going at like 6 a.m. And then you can fucking fall asleep and like get some sleep. On top of the fact that like the mattresses, like, yeah, bunks are nice, but it is a piece of plywood with some fucking foam on top of it. It is not comfortable. And if you get an older one, the foam will be worn down from years of other dudes sleeping and jerking off on it. It's not comfortable. It's not easy to sleep. And sometimes you really only sleep from like 6 a.m. to noon, which is pretty good actually, but it's a weird time to sleep at. Or you, like, I don't know, like they say, drinking or getting drunk prevents you from getting a good night's sleep. But in this scenario, it's different. You're going to get a better sleep if you're fucking passed out versus if you're trying to just like sleep, because you're constantly being awakened. Like there are times where you fucking wake up midair. There's no shocks on these things. They're terrible. We did just receive, we went, when we were in Salt Lake City, a new company showed up called Yeti Coaches, and they have something that's comparable to a bandwagon, but it actually has like air ride shocks. The guy took us around in it, and I hope to fuck that this company is successful, because it is so much better in every fucking way. All right. Did you notice changes in your mood or mental clarity when you kept up your training versus when you didn't? Of course. I mean, I think exercising is a huge part of mental health for me. Not to say that like I have a ton of mental health issues, but I do definitely suffer anxiety, and I find when I'm missing the gym, I'm more anxious than ever. So it's like touring is an anxious thing for me. I never know. I don't know, you get a little sick and then you lose your voice and then you can't sing, and it's like all that stuff goes through my head all the time. I make this weird little sound in my bunk where I go, woo, woo, to check the fucking different registers of my voice, and I'll do it all fucking night long, because there's this like moment where you go, where you can't find the voice, and I like live to just like, it scares the shit out of me. I hate it. But I just constantly test my voice all night to make sure that it's there. And if I don't go to the gym, I'm going to spend my whole day thinking like that. So it's a nice distraction. It's nice to keep my mind focused on something other than just my goddamn voice. And yeah, I definitely, I might not have been the coolest guy on this tour, because I was a little stressed by some of the things that were going on. So I try my best to be old happy cheese, but sometimes I'm not. How do I manage soreness or injury prevention between physically intense sets and workouts? Yeah, I didn't do a very good job. Like at one point I had this pain in my fucking back. It's like when I put pressure on one of my feet, I got pain in the fucking, like a sharp bit of pain, like where my hips and my back connect. And yeah, it was weird. Then my knee went all buggery. At one point I couldn't fucking bend it, but like, what do you do? What do you do when you have like pain like that? There's a couple things, and it doesn't have much to do with fitness, but stretching, rest, and I don't know, like take fucking Tylenol or goddamn put Tiger Balm on it. I don't think that there's any evidence that topical treatments do anything at all, but it sure feels nice. Also, my mom used to tell me when I was younger that there's actual Bengal tiger in Tiger Balm, and I confronted her about it as an adult. I said, remember when you used to think tigers were in Tiger Balm? She said, there is. I said, oh my God, Mom. Please. Please don't say that. Is there any particular city or venue that made working out easier or harder? Yeah. So we were in New Jersey. We were, what's it called? Asbury Park, which Asbury Park is fucking beautiful, dude. I know like Jersey's got a bad rap. I love it. But we went to the same gym every day. It was like the Jersey Shore, whatever. It was an awesome gym, but we were there for 2 days, and I got to go to the same gym 2 days in a row. Knew where it was, really liked it, wanted to spend the whole fucking day there. I bought a whole bunch of shirts. I wish I could remember what it was called. I posted a bunch of pictures there, but it was one of the best gyms I've ever been to in my life, to the point where it's like, it's making it really hard to come home and go to the commercial gym that I'm fucking used to. I really hate it. I wish we had one of these like brick fucking steel plate beef barns. That's just like, I don't know. I went to some gyms that the monthly price was like $150. And then I went to some gyms where the like yearly price was like $150. And every time the price of the cheaper gym was the better gym, always. And like, I know there's like economical places, or what people would call economical, like Planet Fitness. And I think that's great. We went to a bunch of Planet Fitnesses as well. But it is also really interesting to me that the gyms that weren't trying to absolutely fuck people over were superior in every way. Every way. Any funny or memorable moments related to fitness on this tour? No. Not that I can think of. Let me think about it. No. Stupid question. I don't feel bad about saying AI is stupid. That's not a stupid question. That's just like, I feel like a question that you would get in a high school newspaper. What's something that you wished you'd brought or planned fitness-wise for this tour? Well, I brought my lifting belt, and I left it at an LA Fitness in Toronto on the very first day. So that's cool. I really wish I had that back. Did any fans or crew ask about your routine or comment on your fitness throughout the tour? Yeah, people make fun of me every day. Every day, like, people like squeeze my big fucking fat arms and laugh or like call out fucking bullshit while we're on stage. I think it's hilarious. I also think it's fucking incredibly complimentary. So I don't care, but it's funny. Looking back, what would you do differently or keep the same next time fitness? This was the best tour fitness-wise I have ever done. I had friends to work out with. I had a lot of awesome gyms, some not so awesome gyms. If I could do something differently, I would eat more and I would drink less. That's it, right? Like, that is it. So, yeah, and that's the questions. Those are the questions. I think if I was going to curate this and ask somebody else questions, I'd have a lot of different questions. I have better questions, but I would probably take some of these because some of those were good questions. I would like to take this and talk to different people that are interested in fitness and also tour. I'd like to, like, off the top of my head, obviously Jake Lurs, Matt Honeycutt, I know Dan Tompkins, he works out like crazy as a trainer. I don't know. If you can think of any people that, are super interested in fitness, I don't know, hopefully punk, metal, hardcore related, but I don't care. I'd talk to that guy from Imagination Dragons. He seems like, first of all, I saw him waving a Palestinian flag the other day, which I think is awesome. Second of all, he's in awesome shape. And maybe we can make this a regular feature. Unless you don't like it, in which case, fuck me, and I'll go fuck myself. But I'd also like to bring on Jim Dummer, my coach. We can talk to him, see what he's all about. But yeah, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't worry, Fritzy will be back next week when we'll go over the actual final, the details of the tour, where we'll talk about all of it and have a laugh. Until then, thank you very much for listening. Eat shit and go fuck yourself. Dun, 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 dun.
also take a picture from your
Is he C?